The afternoon sun blazed through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Thornfield Industries as Jade Monroe typed away at her computer, finishing the quarterly marketing report. Her fingers flew across the keyboard with practiced efficiency. Her dark hair pulled into a messy bun that somehow still looked elegant. She had worked at Thornfield for nearly 4 years, rising from an entry-level position to marketing coordinator through sheer determination and talent. Her phone buzzed on the desk. A text from Riley Park, her best friend since college. "Girl, you seriously need a vacation. When was the last time you did something fun?" Jade smiled and typed back quickly. I know. You sound like my mom." Because your mom is right. All work and no play makes Jade a dull person. Before Jade could respond, her desk phone rang. The caller ID made her straighten in her chair instantly. Dominic Thornfield, the CEO, was calling her direct line. That never happened. Usually, his executive assistant would handle any communication. "Jade Monroe speaking," she answered professionally. "Miss Monroe. I need the Anderson file brought to my office immediately." His voice was deep, commanding. The kind of voice that made people listen. "I'll be right there." She gathered the file and made her way to the top floor, where Dominic's office occupied the corner with the best view of downtown Seattle. The executive assistant waved her through, and Jade knocked once before entering. Dominic Thornfield stood by the window, hands in the pockets of his perfectly tailored charcoal suit. At 35, he was the youngest CEO in the company's history, having taken over from his father 3 years ago. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with dark hair that was always impeccably styled, and sharp green eyes that seemed to see through everything. The Anderson file. Sir Jade placed it on his desk. He turned, and for just a moment, their eyes met. Jade felt that familiar flutter in her stomach that she always tried to ignore. Dominic Thornfield was her boss. Nothing could ever happen between them, no matter how attractive he was, or how sometimes she caught him looking at her in a way that made her breath catch. "Thank you, Miss Monroe. Your work on the Stevens campaign was exceptional." "Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. You've been with us for years now?" "Yes, sir. For years this month." He nodded, a hint of something unreadable in his expression. "You're one of our most valuable employees." Jade felt her cheeks warm. "I try my best. It shows. That will be all." She left his office, her heart beating faster than it should. That was the most personal conversation they had ever had. That evening, Riley called her. "Okay, I've made an executive decision. You, me, and whoever else wants to come are going to that beach resort in Malibu next week. No excuses, Riley. I have projects. Which can wait. Come on, Jade. When was the last time you saw the ocean?" Jade sighed, but she was already weakening. The truth was, she was exhausted. Fine, but only for a long weekend. Yes. "Oh, I'm so excited. Beach, sun, cute guys in swimsuits. Actually, Carter wants to come too. He just finished a modeling campaign and has some time off." Riley laughed. "Your twin brother. He can be our bodyguard against creepy beach guys." The following Thursday, Jade found herself on a beach in Malibu. The warm sand beneath her feet and the sound of waves crashing in the background. She wore a new turquoise bikini that Riley had convinced her to buy, and she had to admit she felt confident in it. Carter jogged up from the water, his ABS glistening in the sunlight. Her twin brother was her opposite in many ways. While she preferred books and quiet evenings, he thrived on activity and attention. But they were incredibly close, had been their entire lives. "Come on, take a picture with me," Carter said, throwing an arm around her shoulders. "Mom will want proof that we actually spent time together, you and your pictures." Jade rolled her eyes but smiled. Carter was a successful fitness model, and taking photos was second nature to him. He held up his phone at the perfect angle, both of them grinning at the camera with the ocean sparkling behind them. "Perfect. You look great, sis." Jade pulled out her own phone. "Let me send this to Riley. She'll be jealous that she had to leave early for that work thing." She selected the photo, opened her messages, and typed quickly. "Look what you're missing." She hit send without really checking the recipient name. Then she tossed her phone into her beach bag and ran toward the water with Carter, laughing as the waves crashed around them. The weekend was exactly what she needed. No work, no stress, just sun and relaxation and quality time with her brother. Meanwhile, 300 miles north in Seattle, Dominic Thornfield sat in his home office reviewing contracts when his phone buzzed. A message from Jade Monroe. That was unusual. She never contacted him outside of work hours, unless it was an emergency. He opened the message and felt like someone had punched him in the chest. The photo loaded slowly, and when it did, Dominic stared at it for a long moment. Jade, wearing a turquoise bikini that left very little to the imagination. Her skin glowing in the sunlight, her smile bright and genuine in a way he rarely saw at the office. And next to her, his arm possessively around her shoulders, was a man who could have stepped out of a magazine. Muscular, tan, perfect smile, holding Jade like she belonged to him. The message read, "Look what you're missing." Dominic felt something dark and unfamiliar twist in his chest. Jealousy. Pure, burning jealousy. He stared at the photo, his jaw clenched. Who was this man? How long had Jade been seeing him? Why had she sent this photo to him, her boss? Was she trying to tell him something? He zoomed in on the image, studying every detail. The way the man held her, the matching smiles, the obvious comfort between them. They looked perfect together, and that thought made Dominic want to throw his phone across the room. He had spent 4 years maintaining a professional distance from Jade Monroe, even though from the moment she walked into her interview, he had been attracted to her. Her intelligence, her dedication, her smile that could light up a room. But she was his employee, and he had strict rules about mixing business with personal matters. But seeing her like this, with another man, made all those carefully constructed walls crumble. Dominic set his phone down and poured himself a scotch. But even the expensive liquor did nothing to ease the burning in his chest. He looked at the photo again. And again. He couldn't stop looking at it. This was going to be a problem. A very big problem. The following Monday morning, Jade walked into Thornfield Industries feeling refreshed and energized. The beach weekend had been exactly what she needed, and she was ready to tackle her projects with renewed focus. She grabbed a coffee from the lobby cafe and headed to her desk on the 15th floor. She had barely sat down when her phone rang. Dominic Thornfield's direct line, "Miss Monroe, my office." Now, the line went dead before she could respond. Jade frowned at her phone. His tone had been clipped almost cold. Had something gone wrong while she was away? She grabbed her tablet and headed upstairs, her stomach knotting with anxiety. When she entered his office, Dominic was standing by the window, his back to her. His shoulders were rigid, his posture tense in a way she had never seen before. "You wanted to see me, sir?" He turned slowly, and Jade was struck by the intensity in his green eyes. There was something different about him today, something almost dangerous. "How was your vacation?" His voice was carefully controlled. "It was wonderful, thank you." "Very relaxing, I'm sure it was." He moved to his desk, his fingers drumming on the polished wood surface. "Did you go alone?" Jade blinked, confused by the personal question. "No, actually, I went with someone very close to me." She watched his jaw tighten, a muscle twitching in his cheek. "I see. And this person? Are they important to you?" "Extremely important. I've known them my entire life, actually." Dominic's hands clenched into fists. "Miss Monroe, I need to discuss your role here at Thornfield Industries. There are some changes I'm considering." Changes. Jade's heart sank. Was she being demoted? Fired? "Yes. I need someone I can rely on completely. Someone whose attention is fully on their work." "Sir, my attention is always on my work. My performance reviews have been exemplary. Performance reviews don't tell me everything." Picked up a pen, then set it down again, clearly agitated. "Tell me about this weekend. What exactly did you do?" Jade was becoming increasingly confused and slightly annoyed. "With respect, sir, my personal time is my own. I completed all my projects before leaving, and I'm ready to dive into the new campaign this week. That's not what I asked. I'm not sure why you're asking at all." Meeting his gaze directly. "Is there a problem with my work?" Your work is fine. Excellent, even. But I need to know if there are any conflicts of interest, any personal entanglements that might affect your judgment. Personal entanglements? Sir, I have no idea what you're talking about. Dominic pulled out his phone, tapped the screen a few times, then turned it toward her. Jade's eyes widened as she saw the beach photo of her and Carter. I need to know about this. Jade stared at the photo, then at Dominic, then back at the photo. A slow realization dawned on her face, followed quickly by horror. Oh no. Oh my God, I sent that to you? You did. With a rather interesting message. Her face flushed hot with embarrassment. That was meant for my friend Riley. I must have clicked the wrong contact. Sir, I am so sorry. That was completely inappropriate. So you're admitting you have a relationship with this man? Of course I have a relationship with him. He's my brother. The change in Dominic's expression was immediate and almost comical. His eyes widened, his mouth opened slightly, and all the tension seemed to drain from his body at once. Your brother? My twin brother, Carter. We went to Malibu for the weekend with my friend Riley, but she had to leave early for work. Dominic sank into his desk chair, running a hand through his hair and thoroughly messing up his usually perfect styling. Your brother. Twin brother. Yes, did you think? Jade's eyes widened as understanding hit her. Did you think Carter was my boyfriend? The tips of Dominic's ears turned red. I may have made that assumption, and that's why you've been acting so strange? Asking about my personal life? He looked up at her, and for the first time in 4 years, Jade saw Dominic Thornfield looking completely vulnerable. I saw that photo, and I lost my mind. I've spent the entire weekend consumed with jealousy over a man who turned out to be your brother. Jade should have been angry about the interrogation, about the assumption, about everything. But instead, she felt something else entirely. Hope. We're jealous. Her voice came out softer than she intended. Dominic stood up slowly, walking around his desk until he was standing directly in front of her. I've been attracted to you since your interview 4 years ago. But you were my employee, and I had rules about that. So I kept my distance, stayed professional, told myself it was for the best. I had no idea. You weren't supposed to. And then you sent me that photo, and I thought I had lost my chance before I ever took it. I thought someone else had already claimed the woman I'd been thinking about for 4 years. Jade's heart was racing. You've been thinking about me? Every single day. He reached out slowly, giving her time to step away if she wanted, but she didn't move. His hand cupped her cheek gently. Tell me I haven't completely ruined this by acting like a jealous fool. You haven't.
No.
She leaned into his touch. But I need to know what this means. The company policies, the professional boundaries. I'll figure it out. I don't care about policies right now. I care about this. He gestured between them. Whatever this is that's been building between us, it's been building for me too, Jade admitted. I just never thought you saw me as anything more than an employee. I see everything about you, Jade. Your intelligence, your passion for your work, the way you bite your lip when you're concentrating, the way you always bring coffee to the interns on Mondays because you remember how hard it was to start out, the way you light up when talking about a campaign you're excited about. Dominic? She breathed his first name for the first time ever. Say it again, Dominic. He smiled. A real, genuine smile that transformed his usually serious face. I've wanted to hear you say my name like that for so long. So what happens now? Now I take you to dinner. A real dinner, not a work function. Just you and me? That sounds perfect. But first, I need to do something I've been dreaming about. He leaned in slowly, giving her every opportunity to stop him, but Jade rose on her toes to meet him halfway. When their lips finally met, it felt like coming home. The kiss was gentle at first, exploratory, but quickly deepened into something more passionate when they finally pulled apart. Both were breathing heavily. That was worth waiting for years for, Dominic murmured against her lips. Definitely worth it. A knock on the door made them spring apart. Dominic's executive assistant, Patricia, poked her head in. Sir, your 10 o'clock is here. Reschedule it. Patricia's eyebrows rose, but she nodded and closed the door. Can't just cancel meetings because of me, Jade protested, though she was smiling. Watch me. but he sighed, knowing she was right. Fine, but dinner tonight, 7 o'clock. I'll pick you up. It's a date. As Jade left his office, she felt like she was floating. The entire day passed in a blur of work and anticipation. She texted Riley immediately. You will not believe what just happened. Riley's response was instant. Tell me everything. Not over text, but that photo I meant to send you, I sent it to Dominic instead. What? And he spent the whole weekend jealous because he thought Carter was my boyfriend? This is better than any romance novel. What happened? He asked me to dinner. Riley, he's been attracted to me for 4 years. I knew I always said he looked at you differently. Oh my God, Jade, this is amazing. That evening, Dominic picked her up in a sleek black Mercedes. He had ditched the suit for dark jeans and a navy blue button-down that made his eyes look even more striking. He opened the car door for her, and Jade felt like she was in a dream. The restaurant was intimate, tucked away in a quiet part of the city with soft lighting and excellent wine. They talked for hours, sharing stories about their lives, their dreams, their fears. Dominic told her about the pressure of taking over his father's company, about his fear of failing. Jade told him about growing up with Carter, about her desire to eventually start her own marketing firm someday. I'll support that dream, Dominic said, reaching across the table to take her hand. When you're ready, even though it means I'd leave Thornfield? Even then, your happiness matters more to me than any company policy or business decision. As they left the restaurant, Dominic pulled her close. I should probably tell you that I'm going to have to report our relationship to HR. There will be some adjustments to make sure there's no conflict of interest. No. We'll figure it out together. Together, he repeated, liking the sound of it. I like that. He drove her home, walked her to her door, and kissed her goodnight with a promise of tomorrow and all the tomorrows after that, the next few weeks, were a careful dance of professionalism at work and growing intimacy outside of it. Jade and Dominic kept their relationship quiet, not wanting to spark office gossip before they had figured out how to navigate the corporate policies themselves. But keeping their secret was harder than either of them anticipated. Every morning, Dominic had to resist the urge to pull Jade into his office just to see her smile. Every afternoon, Jade had to pretend she didn't notice the way his eyes followed her during meetings. The tension between them was electric, and it was only a matter of time before someone noticed that someone turned out to be Patricia. Dominic's executive assistant, who had worked for the Thornfield family for 20 years and had a sixth sense for these things. You're different lately, she said to Dominic one afternoon, a knowing smile on her face. Happier am I. He tried to sound casual, but Patricia just laughed. I've known you since you were 15 years old, Dominic. I know when something's changed, and I've seen the way you look at Jade Monroe. Dominic sighed, closing his laptop. Is it that obvious? To someone who knows you? Yes, to everyone else. They're too busy with their own work to notice. But you should probably make it official before someone else figures it out and turns it into gossip. She was right, of course. That evening, Dominic called Jade. We need to talk to HR tomorrow. Make this official? Already? Jade's voice was nervous. We've only been seeing each other for 3 weeks. I know, but Patricia noticed. And if she noticed, others will too. I want to do this right, Jade. I want to protect you from any accusations or gossip. The next day, they sat together in the HR director's office, explaining their relationship. Margaret Chen, the director, listened carefully, her expression neutral. This isn't the first time this has happened in our company, she said finally. We have protocols in place. The main concern is the direct reporting relationship. Jade, you report directly to Dominic, correct? Yes, ma'am. That will need to change. We have 2 options. Either Jade transfers to a different department where Dominic isn't her direct supervisor, or we create a new reporting structure. Dominic leaned forward. I'd like to propose a third option. Jade has been discussing eventually starting her own marketing firm. What if Thornfield Industries became her first major client? She could transition to an independent contractor role, which eliminates the supervisor-employee relationship entirely while keeping her talents connected to our company. They had discussed her dream of starting her own firm, but she hadn't expected him to suggest it now. So soon. That's an interesting proposal, Margaret said, looking at Jade. Is that something you'd be interested in? Jade's mind raced. It was a huge leap going from employee to business owner. But it would solve all the conflict of interest issues, and it was what she ultimately wanted anyway. Yes, she said, her voice growing stronger. Yes, I'd like that. Then let's make it happen. I'll have legal draw up the contracts. In the meantime, Jade, you'll report to me directly instead of to Dominic until the transition is complete. Over the next 2 months, Jade worked with lawyers and accountants to set up Monroe Marketing Solutions. Dominic was her biggest supporter, offering advice, but never trying to control her decisions. He helped her find office space, introduced her to contacts, and celebrated every milestone with her. The night she signed the final papers officially making her a business owner, Dominic took her to the rooftop of Thornfield Industries after everyone had gone home. The Seattle skyline sparkled around them, and champagne was chilling in a bucket he had prepared earlier. To Monroe Marketing Solutions, he toasted. And to the brilliant woman who made it happen, I couldn't have done it without you, Jade said, clinking her glass against his. You could have. You would have. I just helped speed up the timeline. He pulled her close, kissing her softly. I'm so proud of you. With the professional complications resolved, they could finally be open about their relationship. The office reaction was mixed at first. Some people were genuinely happy for them, while others whispered that Jade had only gotten her business opportunity because of her relationship with Dominic. Riley, who had become friendly with several of Jade's colleagues, set the record straight whenever she heard such whispers. Jade Monroe is the most talented marketing professional I know. She earned everything she has. Anyone who says otherwise doesn't know her at all. Carter, when he found out about the relationship, had laughed until he cried. So you're telling me that beach photo caused all of this? I'm basically Cupid. You both owe me. We owe you nothing, Jade had said, but she was smiling. As autumn turned to winter, Jade's business flourished. She landed 3 major clients, besides Thornfield Industries, hired 2 employees, and was featured in a local business magazine as an entrepreneur to watch. Dominic was there for every success, cheering louder than anyone. Their relationship deepened as well. Jade met Dominic's parents, who welcomed her warmly. His mother Elizabeth pulled Jade aside during dinner one evening. I've never seen my son this happy, she said, squeezing Jade's hand. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. I love him, Jade said simply. It was the first time she had said it out loud to anyone but Dominic. I know you do. And he loves you. A mother can tell these things. For Christmas, Dominic surprised Jade with a trip to London. I have some business meetings there in January, he explained. Come with me. We'll spend a week exploring the city together. London in January was cold and rainy, but Jade loved every minute of it. They visited museums and historic sites, ate at cozy pubs, and spent lazy mornings in their hotel room talking and laughing. Dominic's business meetings took up a few afternoons, but otherwise, they were tourists together, holding hands and getting lost in winding streets. On their last evening in London, Dominic suggested they ride the London Eye at sunset. The giant Ferris wheel offered stunning views of the city, and Jade pressed against the glass of their private capsule, watching London spread out below them. This has been the most perfect week, she said, turning to smile at Dominic, but he wasn't standing next to her anymore. He was on one knee, a small velvet box in his hand. Jade's breath caught in her throat. Jade Monroe, Dominic began, his voice steady, despite the emotion in his eyes. 6 months ago, you accidentally sent me a photo that changed my entire life. You made me realize that all my carefully constructed rules about keeping distance and staying professional were just ways to protect myself from feeling something real. Dominique, she whispered, tears already forming. You challenged me, inspired me, and showed me what it means to truly partner with someone. You're brilliant and brave and beautiful, and I want to spend every day for the rest of my life supporting your dreams the way you support mine. He opened the box, revealing a stunning sapphire ring surrounded by diamonds. Will you marry me? Yes. Jade dropped to her knees in front of him, not caring about her dress or the proper way to accept a proposal. Yes, absolutely yes. He slipped the ring on her finger, and they kissed as their capsule reached the top of the wheel, the lights of London twinkling around them like stars. "I can't believe this is real," Jade said, looking at the ring through her tears. "6 months ago, I was just your employee, and now, ... Now you're my everything," Dominic finished. "My partner, my best friend, my future wife. I love you so much. Love you too. Even if you do have terrible aim when sending photos." Jade laughed, swatting his arm. "That terrible aim brought us together. It's the best mistake either of us ever made." They called their families from the hotel that night. Riley screamed so loud that Jade had to hold the phone away from her ear. Carter demanded to be the best man, insisting again that he deserved credit for the whole relationship. Dominic's parents were overjoyed. Already planning engagement parties? 6 months later, on a perfect summer day, Jade and Dominic were married in a garden ceremony, surrounded by their closest friends and family. Jade wore a flowing white dress with a sapphire sash that matched her engagement ring. Dominic cried when he saw her walking down the aisle, not caring who saw. Carter did serve as best man, and Riley was maid of honor. In his toast, Carter held up a printed copy of the infamous beach photo, much to everyone's amusement. "To my sister and her husband," he said, raising his glass. "May you never forget that sometimes the best things in life happen by accident. And may you always remember that I'm the reason you're together. We'll never hear the end of this," Dominic whispered to Jade as everyone laughed. "Probably not," she agreed, squeezing his hand. "But I don't care. I'm just happy we're here." As they danced their first dance, as husband and wife, Jade thought about how much her life had changed in just 1 year. From that accidental photo to this moment, it had been a journey of surprises, growth, and love. "What are you thinking about?" Dominic asked, holding her close. "About how grateful I am for wrong numbers and mistaken identities and jealous CEOs who don't know how to hide their feelings." He laughed, spinning her around. "I wasn't that obvious. You were completely obvious. I just didn't let myself believe it could be real. We'll believe it now. This is real. You and me, forever." "Forever," Jade echoed, kissing him as their guests cheered. Monroe Marketing Solutions continued to thrive, eventually expanding to a team of 15 and working with some of the biggest companies in the Pacific Northwest. Jade never lost her drive or her passion for the work, and Dominic never stopped being her biggest supporter. 2 years after their wedding, they welcomed their first child, a daughter they named Emma. Carter sent them a onesie that said, "My uncle is basically Cupid," which made them both roll their eyes and laugh. On Emma's first birthday, Jade found Dominic looking at his phone, a soft smile on his face. "What are you looking at?" He turned the screen toward her. It was the beach photo, the one that had started everything. "I look at this sometimes and think about how close I came to never telling you how I felt. If you hadn't sent this photo, if I hadn't gotten jealous enough to break through my own rules, we might have missed all of this." Jade wrapped her arms around him. Watching their daughter play with her toys on the floor, "I don't believe that. I think we would have found our way to each other eventually. Some things are just meant to be. Maybe you're right," kissed the top of her head. "But I'm still grateful for that accidental message." "Me too." And as Emma laughed and Carter arrived with an armful of presents and Riley showed up with cake, Jade reflected on the beautiful chaos that had become her life. All because of one wrong click, one mistaken photo, and one jealous CEO who finally admitted what his heart had known all along. Sometimes the best love stories begin with accidents. Sometimes the perfect person is right in front of you, hidden behind professional boundaries and carefully maintained distance. And sometimes all it takes is a bikini photo sent to the wrong person to change everything. For Jade and Dominic, that accidental message had been the beginning of their forever. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this story. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to click like. Share this story with your friends and family, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more and meaningful stories.